Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the HVAC 2.0 show. We've got a small gang here with us. Ted wasn't able to make it. He might make it a little bit later, not sure. But yeah, we're just going to be running through just a kind of an open mat format uh, Monday meeting of just
Mhm.
kind of bouncing on just anything and everything that we kind of feel like getting into. So, how's everybody doing?
Awesome.
Nice what nice mild weather here today. Yep.
That's good. Gives
Yep.
everybody a little bit of a leeway, some time to relax, I guess.
hmm
Well, so what's been going on with you, Rady?
Well,
Any new stories?
yeah, I got on Friday. I sold I did a free quote on Friday. It's real slow, the weather's not cooperating.
hmm
But I
Mm-hmm.
did do a free quote on Friday, and the guy had a single stage, variable speed. It was oversized. He said he wanted something better, more efficient. Didn't really care about size. Went through the entire process. Um, Showed him the videos. He didn't care about static pressure. We didn't do static pressure, so there's that.
Mm.
Did the likely load range. He had a 3.5 ton. His house was 2,200 square feet. Um, it according to the likely load range, he could have went as low as uh, 18,000 for cooling and up to 57, and for heating he could have gone as low as like 24,000 and up as high as 77. So he stuck right in the middle. He wanted a green speed that was the best, 4 tons. I did a little bit of
So
did
he
a
even
little
went
bit
up half a ton.
yeah, yeah.
Oh, and
Mm.
he's all.
I
I'm sorry. He's all electric too.
Oh yeah, he's a whole heat pump. Yeah, that's what mostly everybody in where I live is, and probably the same for you, Tanner. Maybe I don't know, but um, we were. I I told him, I said, you're probably going to want to at least upsize these returns, and so we did. We upsized the returns just because he had a 16-inch piece of flex and an 8-inch piece of flex, and so we upsized them. Um, Matter of fact, we put the unit in today. I don't know how it's went because I haven't went back,
Mhm.
but that that turned into a pretty good job. It was $23,000. Nice, nice, good ending to the month.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Um, I
What kind of
sold
install option did they pick? Did they get a bad, any fresh air, anything like that?
not a bit. He
Mm.
didn't care. Yeah, didn't care. He just
Yeah.
all he was chasing was that it was the best. That's all he was concerned about. He wasn't concerned about the best indoor air quality. He was just concerned about the best. As a matter of fact, half of his house, he lives alone. It's just him, and half of his house, he said he didn't care about. He knew it was cooler, but he just didn't care about it.
Hmm.
And
Well,
you know,
well, I mean, it sounded like, I mean, he got exactly what he was wanting. I mean,
he
he
did.
got really
He
good
did.
equipment. If he doesn't care about the other half, I mean, that sounded like the best option for him.
Yeah, I mean, he had a closed crawl space, and he dumped some air into the closed crawl space.
Mm.
The last time I was at this fellow's house was in 2018. So it's been quite some time ago.
Mhm.
And he wanted a dehumidifier, not a ventilating dehumidifier, just a dehumidifier. And so we put he put duct on it. We could have still put a controller on it, with the damper.
Yep.
Didn't want that. That was what he was all those years ago. He's still the same guy today. So
Okay.
now unit that can dehumidify well with reheat. He's got a dehumidifier with no fresh air, no high efficiency filtration, and 2 larger return ducts. So it was a good job.
Well,
Good job.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely a lot better than, I mean, had he had went with just a single stage and I mean,
Yeah.
even staying with the same size and going single stage, that's way better.
Yeah, it is because not that I love oversizing or anything because I don't, but at least with putting in a 5-stage or a green speed, you do have it does have the ability to stay on the lower end,
Yeah.
and so that he does have that going for him.
Yeah. And with that particular unit, you have, I mean, it's going to have the ability to control humidity. So
Yeah,
with that, really the oversizing, what you're suffering a little bit is just going to be, potentially hot and cold spots throughout the house, just because you might not get the same exact run times at those higher stages. So,
yeah.
and it sounds like he didn't really care about that anyways. So again, I mean, it was a good
He
fit for him.
didn't care about it at all. Um, that's it. That was that. I think I told you guys a little bit about one that I did. Maybe I did, maybe I didn't. It was a free quote. They wanted an attic retrofit, and what we call an attic retrofit is we pull the insulation out, we air seal it, we've make sure everything's vented correctly, bath fans and all that kind of thing, soffits, and then we re-insulate. And it was a man doing it for a lady who is a friend of the family, and I told him, we were gonna do a blower door test, just so, because he said the unit's going to be changed out in a couple of years. So I said, okay, fine, we're at least going to do a blower door test, before and after. We did. Did the static pressure. The duct static was fine. It was like 0.3, so it wasn't perfect, but it was reasonable for the unit she had, which is oversized. Didn't do any energy disaggregation or anything like that. And it was only a small house. It was 1,250 square feet. She had a 2.5 ton in it. And she keeps the temperature set to like 78. So for air conditioning. So
in other words, that thing didn't run at all. It would just think about running for a little bit and shut off.
Yep.
Yeah. So, I told the man, I told the lady, I said, I'm guiltless if you have humidity increases or anything like that. I'm guiltless. This is your decision. I know. So ran the blower door after we started out at 1870, and afterwards we got it right at 12. I think we got it at 1250, so it was almost 1-to-1, which is that's not the crawl space. That's just the attic. Next go around, when she changes that equipment, we're gonna probably end up putting a 2-ton 5-stage or 2-ton green speed or something along those lines. And I think she'll be fine.
Oh yeah.
Fresh air, we talked about all that, and the guy, it's funny because the guy who it was actually a referral, and they're a friend of his family or whatever, but he wanted me to I met him in 2017, and in 2017 I did some blower door testing for him. He wanted his house tighter. We advised fresh air, smaller equipment, spray foam in the attic. That's what he was interested in. And then when he found out the cost of it, the true intentions came out, and that was that he really wanted to save energy. And I don't know if you guys have heard of time of use, but those people are insane, because he heated his house all day long. He heated his house to 62 and cooled it to 80. So he just didn't care.
Yeah.
And yeah, so he referred us, and he said, "You can trust these guys." And so, okay, whatever, I'll take it.
Yeah.
But I put that in the free quote too, because I wanted to see how it would work in the free quote setup, and I did it, and it worked out just fine. Everything worked out fine. She didn't watch videos. He didn't watch videos. He didn't care. He watched the videos after the free quote. But she didn't watch the videos at all. She said, "I'll do what he says." But I think with that said, the reason why I did that is because it made the free quote viable. All you have to do is take off the equipment section, and you can still offer the choices, the fresh air and all of this.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. It wasn't a big job. It was only $6,500, but that was still, I would have had to put it in the HVAC software, and it would look stupid and all this sort of thing. But they ended up going for it. And I think once they figure out what's going to happen this summer, I think they're going to probably by the wintertime, they're going to be making a decision to do something different. So that was good.
Yeah, probably gonna have to do something. I mean, at a minimum, get some portable dehumidifiers and run those jokers nonstop.
Yeah, I mean, I had one. I had one lady several years ago. She got dehumidifiers. We had talked to her about getting a 5-stage because that's all her budget would allow, and she wanted to travel rather than have a nice, wonderful home. And so what she did is she got dehumidifiers and put a hose to them, put them on the kitchen cabinet, and they drained into the sink.
At least she sees what dehumidification will do.
Well, she got a 5-stage after that because
Okay.
of that reason, because of that exact reason. She
Yeah.
saw how humidity control was so important.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep.
And so that was good. And my last one, I lost a job. I couldn't believe it. I did everything wonderful. I thought I had this guy. I thought he was going for it. And he called me up and he said, "No, I'm not going with you." I might have told you guys this. I don't know. He said, "I'm not going with you." And he said, "I went with someone else." I said, "What was the reason?" He said, "Because they gave me a MERV 11 filter for free." What? All you had to do is tell me. But I ended my month. I ended last month. I don't have the totals yet. But
Well, what
I
you should
ended
have done
it
on
at
that last one when he's like, "He gave me a MERV 11 filter," you should just be like, "Crap, I was going to be giving you a MERV 13." But I guess
Well,
better
I
luck
did
next
tell
time.
him that. I did tell him that. And he said, "Well, you didn't tell me that." I said, "It's right there on the proposal." Right there on the report. Everything. So
he wanted somebody
I
and
ended
feel good.
Yeah. Well, we had one company last year, they were giving away free 50-inch TVs. If you bought a
Good
unit.
Lord.
Wow.
Yeah.
That sounds like
They
begging.
probably
Just
got
like,
them overstocked.
Please buy
Rent-A-Center.
something from us.
Yeah. At a lower cost too. I mean, so whatever.
Whew.
Wasn't there somebody giving away a free AK-47 or something?
I mean, that would be cool. That would be cool.
I think I saw that on Facebook. It was a real ad. Somebody giving away a AK-47.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. I might go buy up a bunch of cheap
Real.
DPMS oracles, get some $400 ARs. Free AR if you buy a green speed. I'd give somebody an AR if they bought a green speed.
Or you could give them a free shooting class. You bring your own gun and bullets.
So, Reedy, what I got from your descriptions was that the people who've had this work done are not going to have any of this torn out and done over again. They're not going to have to downsize their equipment. They They did not add insulation on top of a leaky ceiling. All of the improvements are real improvements, not just
Yeah,
sales.
that's exactly right. And that's also, it's just inherently built in to the free quote. It's inherent because you can, if you want to, you can put that stuff in there, and you can when you put that stuff in there, then it's their, it's just like it was with the comfort console. It's their choice. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, yeah, we offered, it's there. I put mine on the proposal as well as anywhere that I can put it on the free quote report, because it just gives me so much more opportunity to say, we did talk about this. And what do you do? What do you do when that happens? They're just going to be mad at themselves, not me.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So the free quote, it works. It does work. It's a good process. There's, a couple different ways to go about showing the videos and stuff like that. You can show them all at the same time. You can show the one and then two, and then the other two later. You can pretty much do what you want to do with it, but it's a good process. It is. I got last month, I was at 75%. I think it was 73%. And I was at, I think I ended up 13 or 14,000 average dollar per lead. And this month, I haven't figured out the numbers yet, but I know I did 12 and 9. So 12 leads. I've had 9 of them close. I haven't bothered to check the price because I've been doing the cost because I've been doing other stuff. I'm going to put that up in Slack tomorrow.
Okay.
But it's been a good month.
Yeah.
And it's not been a busy month, but it's been a good one.
Right. Well, January was a little bit busier. This month was less busy. January, I had a bunch of work orders that wouldn't be classified as a free quote.
Mm-hmm.
This month, I didn't have any work orders that would be classified as a free quote, so they were all leads. And the key for me is I've got to fight the low leads with high tickets and closing ratio, and that'll help me because sooner or later we're going to be getting hot and heavy, and it's going to be ready to roll, and then I'll start backlogging.
Yeah. What do you think? I know you said you got to get the numbers together, but where do you think your average ticket's falling for this month, or last month rather?
My average ticket last month was 17,000. My average dollar per lead was, like I say, 12 or 13.
Yeah.
And I think I'm going to be about the same.
Yeah. So if you had 12 leads, you sold 9 of them, and your average ticket was 12,000. I mean, that's what 75% closing ratio at an average $17,000 ticket on free quotes. Like that's pretty damn good. Like
it's smoking. I was looking on Indeed jobs just yesterday, and because it's always good to look. And I was looking, and what they were wanting out of their people was 40% closing ratio, 4,000 average dollar per lead, and $1 million in sales. That's what they were looking at.
Yeah.
So if you figure the numbers and a $10,000 average ticket, that's what they were going for.
$10,000 average ticket at a 40% closing ratio. I mean,
setting the bar pretty low.
Yeah, I mean, you could train a monkey to do that.
Yeah, well, it just says no process. That's what it says. No process.
Yes.
And
yet
it
says leaving a lot of money on the table is what it says.
Right. Well, and they're spending money. They're spending money to get mediocrity. That's the disconnect is that you're going to spend the money one way, and that's to have a great process that works, it's proven, and you'll have higher tickets and more revenue, or you're going to spend money by having a poor process and having to whatever it costs to put your job on Indeed to have a sales guy who has a low goals.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think that they think that if you figure out if you have four guys doing $1 million, then your company's gonna look bigger. I don't understand the logic, because in any way you shake it, you're still gonna be on the low end of the totem pole, no matter what.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah.
astounded to see that,
Yeah.
to be honest with you.
What was the average commission? Did it say anything about that?
It did not. It said 4,000 average dollar per lead, 10,000 average ticket, and 40%. And it's a company in
So that
North
person probably
Carolina
only
too.
makes 60 grand a year or something.
Right.
And you can probably only afford to pay somebody 60 or 70 grand at most. If that's all they produce, and it's not a very good average ticket. I mean, it's not much margin, 10,000.
No. Unless you're just selling single stage equipment for way higher than you should. But
Mm-hmm.
you still got warranty callbacks and stuff like that.
And our single stage is still like 12 grand.
Right.
Um,
I had one.
Mm.
I forgot. I had one today. This is my real last one. This lady, I did the free quote for her. She wants 2 units. She said she wanted 2 units, and I'm thinking,
Oh.
okay, this is going to be something. And she had 2 2 tons. She got 3 units in the house, and I just did the whole house. I don't remember what the numbers were because I did this a while ago, the free quote. To make a long story short, she called me up on Friday and she said, I'll be calling you in a few days, but I got some questions I need to know about right now. Do I really need a pad? And I said, I know where this is going. She said, do I have to have breakers? What about these heat strips? Do I have to have them? And so what I ended up, I told her, I said, listen, I said, you can do, I said, we won't put a unit in unless you have heat strips in it. I said, we're not going to do it. I said, because, you need heat strips in case your compressor goes bad, and you'll have to have some heat. Okay. So we ended up agreeing on 2 new construction builder's grade units, 1.5 tons, for $13,800. And she's perfectly okay. She said, "Are you sure
Oh my
you
God.
can't? Do you have to put a drain pan in my attic?" I said, "Yes, we have to put a drain pan." I never would have.
Uh,
I've not ran into anybody like that in my
good
entire time
Lord.
of doing this.
But where did she come up with these questions? Had she talked to somebody else who said you don't have to have these things?
I think she'd been looking on the internet, because she asked me if I did a manual J load calculation.
Oh, so she wants the manual J, but the drain
Right.
pan's questionable.
Right.
Yeah, that's an option.
It was
Yeah.
crazy to hear all of that.
Yeah.
But I mean,
If you're not doing a man J for my builder's grade equipment, we're going to have a problem.
Yes.
Well, I'll tell you what. She told me she wanted to go down in equipment size as well, because she wanted it to be cheaper. So,
Oh God,
is that why?
the one good thing, the cheapness was coming of it. Be like,
so instead of 2 2 tons, we got 2 1.5 tons, and
wow.
there you go.
That's actually likely to be a better fit.
And
It
how big was the house?
Oh, the house was like 5,000 square feet. And
Okay.
I'm certain, I think if you did if you went through and did everything, I think you'd still find that they were oversized, because the spaces we were talking about one was 700 square feet and one was 680. So
Oh,
Plenty.
the rest of it was on a bigger 4-ton unit.
Well, if she's only going to keep it at 80 degrees, she won't have a problem.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
well,
I get
that's
yeah, because I guess my mind went to like, okay, if we're already spending 14,000, why not get one unit and get a better unit? But
right.
I guess she's just like, no, I want
No,
cheap builder's grade. Get rid of
yeah,
that
and
pan.
it was amazing because she was she watched the videos. She told me she liked the 6 functions, and
And
then she ignored everything about the 6 functions.
But wouldn't
So
pay for any of
yeah,
them. Though.
she said
Yeah.
that
yeah,
was a really good video. Now you see these very unhappy faces right here. Yeah, that's it.
that's
That's the
right.
winner.
Okay.
yeah,
Well, there are some people for whom the cost is everything.
yeah,
Can't
yeah.
talk them out of it.
Yeah, and you know what? I've gotten to this place where if they're that way, I'm not going to try. I gave all the info I could.
Yep.
I responsibly gave the information I could. And then when she called and she started asking, when you ask about if you have to change breakers,
Yeah.
there's something wrong with that. I mean, we don't do it for fun.
Are you sure you can't just run this 12 gauge wire I have right here for the heat kit?
Yep.
Just do a few straight. Just do a couple of runs. Just do 2 of them.
Yeah. I mean,
2
if
12s
you
equals
only
1 6, right?
if you only want to run it for less than 3 hours, you can do it.
Well, there was on that topic of actually it had to do with sizing, but it comes down to the cost. There was a fella several years ago where I went to. It might have been a no heat call at the time, but he had a 4-ton heat pump in the house, which just from looking at the house, 2 tons, maybe 2.5 tons. And I told him when the time comes, he should consider downsizing the air conditioner. He said, yeah, but I got a really good deal on this. And I asked him about humidification, and he said, well, it doesn't dehumidify very well, but I got a really good deal on this. And then actually not too long ago, a family that I know bought that house, and the husband called me because his wife was doing unpacking at the house. He was making another trip, 75 miles to their old house to collect more belongings to bring back. He called me and said, is there anything I can do to get the humidity out? He said, my wife is suffering in the humidity. I said, no.
Yeah. You don't understand. He got a really good deal.
That's it.
Yeah, he got a great deal.
That's what was important. So the time will come when. Yep.
Yeah.
And the problem with
well,
that is, I mean, you're not just gonna like you couldn't just go and control that humidity and everything be fine and dandy. Like you're gonna have to dry that house out. So
Yes.
Yeah.
if you did want to do anything about it, it's like, okay, well now you need to change the equipment. Plus we need to get in some dehumidifiers in here just to run for a while, just to try to dry this house out. So then we can maintain and it be comfortable again.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
That's
Well, that
exactly
sounds like a pretty good week, Reedy.
Yeah, I think so. I'm glad glad for the free quote. Thankful for the free quote because it was better than what I was doing.
Can you tell? I can see the top part of your shirt. I'm not old. What's the bottom part?
I'm a classic.
Oh, okay. I've got a bumper sticker that says, "I'm not old. It's your music that sucks."
I feel you on that.
All right.
Which I had my first Mr. Cool call, which
Oh,
was an interesting one. It went about as well as what you would anticipate. So that was a referral. I went out to this place, and they're selling the house first of all. So they're like, we're just trying to, you know, we're just getting it replaced so we can sell. Um, and also, it was which the house itself. I don't know what they're probably going to be pricing it at, but my guess would probably be somewhere around 1 million, because this that was conditioning a guest house is what it was conditioning. It was on a lake house, really nice place. But they did some, they did a DIY Mr. Cool. So I go out there, and I went out. What was I wasn't in my service van, so I didn't have my tools with me, but I was just kind of going out because they were making it out like they were just wanting it replaced. But then I get out there and see, oh, it's a Mr. Cool and it's a brand new unit. So I'm like, you know, that's what's going on here. Like, what happened? Why is it here? How did we get to the point we're at? And evidently they put this unit in. It was about 8 months ago, and it's already dead. Um, it had power, but it just wasn't doing anything. I'm not sure if it was out on a, you know, low pressure switch code, and from leaking line set, or what that was. But I talked to him and I said, hey, I mean, I can come back. We can try to diagnose it, see what's going on with it, give you a quote for repair. But just, I just let them know, just so you know, getting parts may be difficult, and anything under warranty, that's going to be handled by you. I can't handle any of that. That's all we can do. Um, so then, uh, so they're like, okay, we'll do that. We scheduled a day, and the very next day, she texts me back. She goes, hey, we got to talking about it. How much would it be just to replace the unit? And so I went, okay, well, my mind, I was thinking, okay, well, obviously they were looking at it and going, okay, we put this unit in, it died immediately, and so this thing must suck. So how about we look for an alternative that's not going to die immediately? And so I said, yeah, we can do that. It was a small unit, 1 ton mini split, one head, one condenser setup. So 120 volt. It wasn't even a 240. Got them a quote for it, sent it to them, and they were like, how much would it be for just the labor or just the install? And I'm
Oh
like,
boy.
and that's so I was like, I don't know, deduct 1,000 from the price I gave you. There you go. And they were like, we were thinking about just ordering another unit and having you put it in. And I was like, you mean the same unit that you just watched die almost immediately? And a little bit of back and forth, and then they were like, yeah, we just feel like that's too high. We think we'll just do it ourselves. And I was like, okay.
Wow.
I'm glad I saved myself all this time that I would have did
Yeah.
otherwise. But yeah, it was just, I don't know. You're probably right.
Yep.
That's what I was anticipating anyways. But yeah, so they're like, we're trying to sell our house. We're trying to sell this lake house with a guest house, but we're afraid we might be spending a little bit too much on this single head mini split that you've priced us for. I think the quote was like, I think it was 4,200 for a one head, one condenser, and
Okay.
they probably bought the DIY unit for 1,500, 1,600, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, to save a little bit of money, we're gonna try to do it ourselves again on this unit. That's yeah, it was it was just funny. Which, when they told me they were selling, and I got there and seen it was a Mr. Cool, I really anticipated it was gonna be that was the route it was gonna go. But you know, is what it is. We got here.
Yep.
Yeah,
That's the only way to make sure it's sealed.
that's it.
Mm-hmm.
And you are right.
Yeah.
If it hadn't have been, I was quoting, yeah, that's about right. The only reason I was quoting 45 is like, I had basically extra line sets, because the line set would have been about 10 feet. It was
You could use.
Really, I mean, I would have legit been done in probably 4 hours.
You had a pad. You had a circuit. A lot of that was
Yeah,
done for you
and
already.
everything was already new, and
Yeah.
so I was just gonna swap boxes, and which it never fails. Anytime I'm like, oh, this is gonna be easy, 4,500, you know, whatever. Like this is just a quick thing. Like that never pans out. That's why it's almost a curse. If they do buy, shit's gonna go sideways, and it's gonna cost you more money. And if things don't go sideways, then they just don't buy. That's how it always goes when I do that. But
That's a blessing, though.
oh yeah,
It's such
it
a
was.
blessing.
It was.
Yeah, but Ronnie's fixing to buy a Tesla.
Got to afford them somehow.
That's right.
But yeah.
Well, in my retired condition, I got called for. This was a system that we installed late in 2022. 2-ton, 5-stage, all electric, MERV 13, communicating thermostat. And we'd even included the extended labor warranty. And they were getting a message on the thermostat that a sensor was outside of range. So the tech who went called distributor's tech support. He said, well, we've had several instances of that sensor actually going bad. So he said, we'll send you the sensor. But the customers had complained about the complexity of the thermostat. And the tech is not very good at addressing that kind of a question. So he called and asked me to go with him. And I know the customers. And so I joked and said, I didn't really expect that either of you would be Luddites when it came to this. And she said, wait, calling me a Luddite. I mean, they use computers. One of them is a retired university professor. I'm not sure about the other one. While the tech replaced the sensor, I talked to them about the thermostat. And when we had power back on, the error message was gone. I explained to them that you really don't have to get into any of these menus. The first 2 screens are all you need if you want to change the temperature. Because they said, there's just too much here. They're my age, if not even a little older. So I'm going to put them in middle 70s. I'm early 70s, just in my own defense.
Yeah,
But
you're not like them.
That's right. I'm not old yet. But the upshot was very, very nice. They said, that's fine. But when you get to this, the first screen is the home screen. The second screen is where you can then make some changes. You can run your temperature up and down. If you go to the third screen with the menus with 6 icons on it, they start to freak out. All it took was assuring them, you can do everything you've told me you want to do in these first 2 screens. You never need to go to the third one. Okay. Yeah. But it all comes down to getting to the root of the problem.
Yep.
So just ask enough questions and be acquainted with the equipment. Hey, there's Ronnie.
Hey, Ronnie.
Yep.
What's going on?
Yep.
I went to the carrier factory today.
Oh, how did that go?
Oh, yeah.
Tell us about it.
It was pretty cool. Jeff Howard actually gave me the tour of the training facility.
Ah.
So I went on one of the tours through our company. We had like 17 employees there, and we got to see like the manufacturing the furnaces, and then we got to see the engineering room and the psychrometric chambers, and then we got to tour the. I wish they let me take pictures of the training facility, but you're not allowed to because they got a bunch of really new cool stuff in there.
Mm-hmm.
I did get to see the new inverter heat pump being tested in the engineering area.
Mm-hmm.
That's replacing the 5-speed heat pump that's getting discontinued, by the way. I don't know if y'all know that.
Did not know that. What?
I did not.
This is not going to be the level of a green speed. It'll be a step down.
It'll be a step down. There's going to be 2 variable capacities systems. There'll be a 20 SEER, and they're calling the 24 a 22 now. So there'll be a 20 and a 22. So they're basically putting the guts of the green speed in a 5-stage body.
Oh.
Yeah, I didn't know about that until just a few hours ago. I was talking to Ted, and he was telling me
I told
about
him
that
probably
you
earlier.
told him. Yeah, that from you telling him. So
And their crossovers are cool too.
Are they? I mean, are they like? Is that the only thing that they're adding? Are they like redoing the green speed and then kind of like reusing things from the green speed to make this new one, or?
It reminds me of the old green speed, the tech that they put into the 5-speed. Remember the
like
VNA,
the VNA
Zero? It's going to be
Yeah.
a 27 VNA 0 or 1, or VNA 0, I believe, or 2 or something,
Okay.
something like that. But it's going to be a 27, meaning 454B or pure on advantage or whatever they were calling it earlier.
Is it going to be using either R32 or whatever?
R454B.
R454B. Okay.
Which is 60% R32 and 30-something% whatever the other new refrigerant is. But
So
the
in other words,
GWP is like 400 or something.
So it's like 410A light.
They're calling it pure on advantage or something, or advanced or something.
It's a Diet 410A. That's what we're getting.
It is Diet 410A. The pressures are nearly identical, they said.
Okay.
When are they supposed to roll that out?
Oh,
they're going to start releasing them November of this year. They're going to start the single speed heat pumps, and air conditioners are going to be the first ones to get it.
I mean, what about that upgraded 5-speed or whatever?
Well, they're pushing out a bunch of 5-speed heat pumps right now because they can manufacture them till the end of the year. And then when they switch to 454B, it's not going to be a 5-stage no more. It's going to be the new unit.
Oh, so basically, first of next year, that's when they're.
We'll still
this
sell
one out
5-speed units, but yes, they'll release it sometime next year
Okay.
because they're building a bunch of 5-speeds right now.
Does it seem like that they're trying to? I mean, with the 5-stage, I mean, obviously the problem with it is the low heating capacity at low temps. Are
Yes,
they
the
trying
tax
to?
credits. The only reason they said that, the only reason they did it's tax credits.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah,
I
'cause
figured
the 2
that's
and
what
the
it
3.
was.
Yeah, and the 2-speed meets a lot of tax credits, so they're keeping it because they got IntelliSense, and they're really. I guess they don't want to. I was calling it almost infinity in the factory to the people. They did not like that at all, to the carrier people.
Well, that is what it is. It's exactly. Yeah. It's funny you say that because that's what it is.
It's almost infinity. It was really cool though.
I figured I'd at least share that with you all since I didn't make it or whatever. So on time, but that was really cool. And then they have a lot of really cool crossover equipment that they're going to be putting out. That they're also making it to where like if you have like a 2015 ductless outdoor unit and you want to replace just the indoor part of it, it'll be backwards compatible. And you'll be able to use the units together. And then they made this new slim. It's like a cassette, but it's only 13.2 inches wide. So you'll be able to literally on a 16 center house cut a hole in the ceiling and slide this dude right up in the ceiling. And
but it's like, is it like the one-way cassette that's 4 feet long?
It is a one-way. Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was cool though. I mean, in some situations,
It's really cool.
We put one in, a VRF one. Yeah, it was before they came out with these.
I seen the first 3-way VRF that's been ever put in commission at the carrier training facility today too. It was super cool.
Oh. Wow.
You put 72 devices on it.
Good Lord.
And you can heat and cool at the same time. So literally you had say you had an 8,000 square foot house. You can put mini splits here. You could put a furnace, an air handler, whatever, all of it, all on this same unit, except 72 devices. It was
use heat recovery.
Yeah, it's super dope. Literally can move heat from one room to the other. If you're calling for heat, you can cool and heat at the same time. Super, super cool.
Nice.
But
was the facility in Indy?
It's in Indianapolis. Yeah, it's where the furnace factory, where they build the furnaces.
Yeah.
And I didn't realize that Heil furnaces and everything are made in that facility. I thought they were made somewhere different, but they stamp them all out in that same facility.
Yeah.
Make it off the same assembly line. They got one person with different badges. That's a Bryant. That's a Carrier. That's a
They literally
Heil.
had someone at the end of the line doing that.
Yeah.
but they're just was all Carrier or all Bryant or all Heil. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's basically what the gist of that was. What'd you say?
We come across I had a customer call me.
Kind of cutting in and out.
Yeah, you may have to cut your camera in order to get enough data.
Yeah, I can't hear you, Jason.
Turn the camera. Can you hear now?
Nope.
Not quite.
You sound like the Vogons.
I think I got a bad connection.
Yeah, you may have to
You're a little more stable video-wise now.
And Carrier, I guess, bought Toshiba completely. They own Toshiba now. So all the commercial VRF stuff it says Toshiba Carrier on it now.
Oh.
I wish that they would make the warranty better on the VRF stuff, because that would it does a lot better for multi-zone stuff than mini splits do.
For sure, yeah. It's like the Medea on steroids.
Right.
Yeah. It was super dope though. They had a lot of they even had a communicating crossover system in there. But it had its own controller. It looked like a commercial controller. Like it looked like the same shape as an Infinity control, but the screen was smaller and it was more commercialized. You have to have like the big hockey puck for the ductless to make it Wi-Fi and all that.
So is that a commercial unit or is that a residential unit?
It's a residential.
Okay, so it's going to be like a dock and fit competitor?
Basically, and you could put air handlers, gas furnaces, cassettes, whatever.
So, like on the crossover, when they were like doing the engineering and design, did they just all go on vacation when it come time for dehumidification on this one as well? Or
no, it actually has dehumidification built into the controller, so if it satisfies, it'll cycle it down and run and dehum.
Okay.
Which is
I
thought was super impressive for ductless. Even if you have like a ductless head,
is it going to have electric reheat?
I don't know that.
If they'll just add that cherry on top, they might have me sold.
I know with an air handler it probably will, but with a ductless unit, I don't know the answer to that. But they were really cool. It was really impressive. And I did sell one really good job Friday that went in today. I went in. This was a house I tested. It was a 4,500 square foot house. Tested out at like barely over 2,000 CFM 50. And I sold him 2 5-speed systems with all kinds of extra. He wanted like UV lights, air purifiers. He wanted the germicidal air purifiers. I tried talking him out of them, but he wanted all that jazz. And then I put a Daikin ventilator on the main floor system too.
Yeah.
It was like 42,600.
That's good.
He wrote a check for that too. Yeah, it was insane. And he's got a propane furnace that I'm converting downstairs to electric. So
That's
it'll be
awesome.
all the gas will be gone. He had two 150 amp panels 6 foot from the furnace. I'm like, hey, this guy, when I asked him if it made sense to get away from fossil fuels, he was like, absolutely. Like, we want to get rid of it. So he's got all kind of reheat dehum in that house now.
Okay. What was his driving force for wanting to get away from gas?
Well, when he built the house 9 years ago, he was told that he was going to get natural gas, and then they didn't give him natural gas. They stopped it like a half mile up the road, and he had to have propane appliances, and he's ripped everything except the gas furnace out downstairs. He has an induction stove and everything. And he was like, he's like, I want it all electric. And he's like some commercial, he built like the Daikin training facility. He's the architect that helped build that. So he's all into inverter equipment and fresh air and all that good stuff.
Okay, darn.
But he was that was an awesome job. He was like, he almost went for the green speed, but he's like, well, I can save $7,000-8,000 if I do 2 5-speed units. So that's what he did.
Yeah, and I mean, price difference at the 5-stage to the green speed, I mean, that does buy you a good bit of electricity. So when you're burning strips when it gets cold, I mean.
He'd say he didn't care about the electric bill, though, so.
Sounds good.
He said, I just want to be comfortable. I don't care about the electric bill, so. But it was pretty dope. It was a good experience. And then I closed out last month at 197,000. I ran way less leads. I'm going to see how many leads I ran real quick. But my close rate was a lot better.
Yeah, Tanner, are you keeping an eye out to see if Jason tries to log back in?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
56% average job was $16,081, and it was $225,145.
That's pretty good there.
Yeah, it's a super slow month too.
Yeah, for a slow month.
25 leads.
Darn. Okay. 25. So you closed what? 13 of those, 14 of those then?
Yeah. Basically, yep, 56%.
But it was leap year. Don't forget it was leap year.
I know it was leap year.
That'll throw everything off.
All right, well, I don't mean to run, but I just wanted to hop on for a second. I got to do a couple things before I go to bed. I've been up since 5 o'clock, so you guys have a good night. It was nice to see you guys.
Thanks.
Glad you hopped on. Glad to see you.
Y'all have a good night.
You too.
See you later.
Bye.
All right, now the fun can start.
Yes. Down to the 3 of us.
Just think 2 years ago, that guy wasn't even a sales guy. Ronnie.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
He was just getting into it.
Yeah.
Which is wild. It's amazing. He's a beast, that guy.
Oh, yeah.
I'm glad for him. I really am. Yeah.
Well, and he had Jeff as his trainer.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to beat that.
Yes.
Yeah. He's tearing it up, and it's meaningful to his family, to his life in every way.
Oh, yeah.
But I do miss hearing from Jeff about how many systems they tore out. Back to the factory, back to their warehouse.
I know. He said that almost with glee in his voice at times.
Yeah. Which I mean, in terms of like you know, I mean, it is pretty bad of installing that many wrong-sized equipment that you have to go back and tear out. But I will
Yeah.
say, at least their company was going back and actually tearing it out and getting them what they needed. Just
Yeah.
because, you look at a lot of companies. I mean, I was talking to someone. Actually, I was talking to Ted earlier about there was I don't know who it was, but some company that was more out west, but they were selling single stage equipment for like 30 grand, and they would just oversize the shit out of it. And so it's like, there's some of these companies out here that they don't care at
Well,
all.
if you're out
Yeah.
west, it won't matter. If you're in Phoenix, Arizona with no humidity, all it does is cycle.
Yeah.
They don't
Yeah.
have any humidity to worry about.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
so
it
me,
cycles, and I mean, yeah. I mean, they don't have the humidity to deal with. They only have, hot and cold spots, you know, that
yeah,
sort of thing. Not exactly great on the equipment to turn off and on constantly, but still, I mean,
yep.
it's just wild. But I guess that's just the kind of the norm for.
Well, if you look at the Facebook groups, uh, I see many more contractors recognizing how bad it is to oversize,
Hmm.
but I think that's still a small percentage of those actually doing business. It's all about boxes.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'd be interested to see some data on this as to the involvement of private equity and like how that's changed, and whether or not private equity still is deep into the industry as it was several years ago. But when you have private equity that's buying up businesses and running them, and at the end of the day, it only matters about the numbers.
Yep.
So
Hmm.
to them, they could care less about installing the right size equipment, about, comfort problems, about any of that. They're going, oh, if I can sell this box, I can get X amount of dollars. And if I can just sell more of those, then that's how we scale. And
Yep.
then you scale that up until you make the company more valuable, and then you sell it, cash out, and move on to the next one. And I think I mean, that's been a big driving factor of why that's become so common, because you get enough people working for these companies, and and this is the only company they've ever seen, so that's the norm. They go, "Oh, this is how this works. You go in, you replace a box for a box, and you go into the next one." And they're just looking at it going, "I could be making so much money. I'm going to go do it on my own." And so you have this influx of people just carrying on those poor practices, which luckily, as we see in some of the Facebook groups and on here and stuff, people are starting to kind of realize why that's a problem, and why they're running into problems because of it, and you know seeing a little bit of a change now. So that is a positive.
Yeah. Oh, and Corbett Lunsford, I think, has started a third season, and I saw one of I believe it was a preview of one of the episodes, and I cannot remember the man's name who had the what Energy Star disasters. Um,
Oh, is a
it,
strange name. It's a foreign name.
yes, yeah, not one that I'm readily acquainted with, but I can
Right.
remember listening to that on podcasts 3 or 4 years ago. He's still, I think, engaged in a lawsuit with the builder. Um, and he said he has had to become a home performance expert uh, it, because of all of the problems that they encountered with their house. So he'll know better the next time. But of course, no homeowner is prepared for that.
Oh yeah.
Oh, and the point that stuck with me is he said the builder is not the one who's going to be penalized over this. If there is a settlement, it'll be the subcontractors
Hmm.
rather than the builder, which is not going to incentivize the builder to make any changes in their process. Thank you, Ted.
Yeah, that's it.
Church Ronis. Looks like an anagram of something.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
it's the public is becoming aware of it, but not enough to override their desire to get a good deal on things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I got an email the other day from ACA, and it was there's a guy who works for ACA. I can't remember his name, but he they were talking about how off the manual J was. Well, ACA is responsible for the manual J, and even though they admitted it's off, and there's a lot of assumptions and all this and all that in there, what they said is for cooling you shouldn't go with it. No, for heating you shouldn't go with it because it's way too high. It's exorbitantly high. But for cooling, it's accurate, and you should stick with it. And you know, I just find it so strange that they wrote it. They were the ones who are responsible for it. They're admitting it's messed up, and they're sticking with their story no matter what.
Yeah, and I mean, I seen some people, or it was, I think it was a Facebook post or something by ACA, and they were kind of like pointing that out, like, some people say that it overshoots it and blah blah blah, and then there were some people that were like, well, it's garbage in, garbage out, and this and that, and blah blah
Mhm.
blah, and of course it's just, well, initially, if we rewound a couple of years ago, nobody was really saying this at all. Everybody was,
Right.
you know,
Mhm.
on their high horse trying to tell themselves that they're so much better than everybody because they use manual J,
Mhm.
and which a funny thing that I always kind of noticed is a lot of the like design classes or manual J classes, the instructor typically starts out with the way that it's typically done is people guess with 500 square feet per ton and blah blah blah, and they don't verify anything, and so they're like, how do you know that it's not right if you're not checking things? And then they will proceed to give a presentation on doing manual J, and then right at the end they just go, and once you get your number, it's right. And it's like,
Uh,
oh, well, what about, you mentioned about verifying right there at the beginning of the class. Well, how do you verify? Oh, you don't because you have a big book that you followed, and the big book can't be wrong. So
right.
you don't have to verify. Is that correct?
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well,
Right.
that's funny. And then the people that will try to fight against it and say, oh no, if manual J is overshooting, then it's your own fault because it's garbage in, garbage out. And it's like, okay, well, how many like thermostats have you watched run times on? Have you installed many ecobees and check delivered capacity of the system at design temp and see what it actually does? Oh, you haven't. Huh. Well, that's interesting.
Mhm.
How do you know?
Yeah.
But
Well, of course, how old is Ecobee? Is it 15 years old?
I don't know. It not terribly old.
We haven't had the technology to do that in most residential settings
Yeah.
for very many years. And
Yeah.
I can recall, oh, wow, it's got to be 40 years ago when the company that I worked for wanted to downsize something according to Manual J from what they had already, heating wise. It wasn't so much cooling wise, but they were afraid to put in only 70,000 BTU furnace in a townhouse. They were afraid this was going to be too small.
Oh yeah.
So
Well, there's so
give
much
me
heat
more
loss on
sheet
that
of
other
it.
house that you're connected to. I mean, you just got to have more.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
But
moving, but we're talking glacial pace here rather than a rapid pace. Maybe it'll speed up.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, we now have the technology. We have thermostats that can do it. And so anybody that chooses not to go do the testing yourself, uh, I don't want to hear you say that anything's accurate or not accurate,
Yeah.
because if you can't
right.
verify it, I mean, a calculation is nothing but an assumption. And the more data we can pump into this calculation, the better off the assumption is going to be. But at the end of the day, we're still making an assumption. So you have to have other methods of coming to the same conclusion to be able to see if you can get some overlap. And the idea of you should only do a singular thing, and that singular thing cannot be wrong. It's just funny. It's funny to hear.
Yeah.
And those are the same people that will preach that you need to do a manual J on every single job that you ever touch. You should do it for free. Which, I mean, I guess it's like, oh, okay, we're going to do inaccurate load calculations for every job that you ever do, and you're going to do it for free. I'm like,
just for the sake of accuracy.
Yeah. Yeah. Which, I mean, I guess if you're going to be doing a lot of inaccurate load calculations, then they're really not worth much anyways. So you probably should be doing them for free because, who's going to pay for your inaccurate load calculations?
Right.
Well,
Alvin Wise, who works with me, he's 78, and
no, that's old.
He put in well, he put in a dual fuel, and he turned his heat pump, and he turned his heat off at like 40 degrees. He turned his heat pump off at 40 degrees. When it got to be in the 90s, he said he was going to do something different, and so he turned it from 40 to 35. And I told him I had a chance to get at him because he's finally changed his unit out. This has been about a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago, and he put in a 3-ton 2-stage, and he turned his gas off. And his gas hasn't ran for however long, a year and a half, 2 years. And yet the heat pumps haven't improved that much. I mean, not 2 stages, not single stage, not even really the 5-stage. The green speed, that has, but the point is that he was so indoctrinated in that line of thinking that it took him making a change and having a fallback if he needed it. But now that he's done it, he said it's the best thing I ever did.
Yep.
Even though he told me his house was super insulated and tight. It's probably still oversized.
Gas heat is warm heat.
Yeah. Well, his hasn't ran for that amount of time. It's ran in low stage most of the time, and that means something.
It may be a confluence of the internet and more information being out there. But then when we get people who have been online for a while and have gained some notoriety, whether it's Corbett or Ed Janowak, when they are, because they were among the ones who were adamant for a manual J. And now, and recently they have said, look at how oversized the heating is.
Yeah.
So it's kind of hard for the agencies that are responsible for these things to deny it. And that may be in part why the agencies are admitting, they're opening up and saying, yeah, we need to refine this. Or at least I'm hoping that's what they're planning to do.
Yeah. But I mean, still at the end of the day, even if it gets refined, like unless you're making a perfect model, like you can't get it exact. So it doesn't have to be perfect, but it's just you kind of need multiple methods of getting to the same area. That's how you kind of
refining the accuracy.
Yeah, you're kind of triangulating versus just relying on a single method of getting there.
More than one method.
Yeah. Because manual J might overshoot the heating, but it doesn't mean that it's useless. Like it's still useful. It's just you can't put way too much confidence in it and go, oh, this thing is whatever this says. This is this is the word. This is it. It's a fact. It's like you just can't glorify the actual accuracy of it. That's the problem, is not using it properly.
know the limitations of the tools.
Yes.
And have another tool that you can compare it with.
Yes.
So yeah, disaggregate the bills.
I'm fixing to get, guys. I'll see you next week.
Well, all right, we'll see. We'll go ahead and round off the show. We've already hit an hour and 10, so.
Yep.
See you later.
All right.
Good
see everybody.
Yep.
Peace out.